edition of Bet on this Monday night. Another riveting game. I feel like I say that each and every week. Of course, we've got the Saints going up against. Who are the Saints playing again? I totally forgot. Who are they playing? Let's bring in Erin Dolan. The game is so riveting, Erin. I have forgotten who the Saints are playing.
The Bucks.
Tonight. What is wrong with me? They're playing. There you go. They're playing on the Bucks. They're playing the Bucks. So we've got Erin Dolan breaking down NFL. We got Fortenball, who's going to be joining us from Vegas. We've got Nick Friedell, who's joining us from New York. We'll talk some NBA, some college football. We'll cover it. Hopefully, I'll remember who's playing in the NBA as well. So, Erin, welcome in as always on Monday. We like to start off with reaction or no action. And let's start in the NFL. Of course, Deshaun Watson, his big season debut. Next week, you can bet that he throws 2 touchdowns. Now, keep in mind, the Browns' TDs came on all their TDs came on the defensive side. Deshaun Watson just laid a big fat egg in week 1, but you can bet that he throws 2 next week. Reaction or no action?
No action on this one. Deshaun Watson did not look good. I don't expect him to be any better, but Field Yates put out this tweet. I have to read down it. It is telling me that the Browns defense / special teams, interception return for a touchdown, fumble return for a touchdown, punt return for a touchdown, safety. I mean, the defense accounted for all 24 points of the win. It makes no sense to me. Deshaun Watson didn't really do much. I mean, he had 131 passing yards, 1 interception, 12 for 22. He's going to lean on Kareem Hunt. He's going to lean on Nick Chubb. I don't see him throwing 2+ touchdowns by any means in this next game.
Yeah, no action for me here. Again, we're talking about 700 days since he last played in the NFL, and the offensive line did him no justice either. 10 pressures on 24 dropbacks, and Watson only completed 12 completions against the. Here's another one, Erin. It was against the Houston Texans. So arguably one of the worst defenses in the NFL. So no action there for me as well. Sticking in the NFL, let's talk about the Bengals. Will they win 4 of their last 5 games remaining? And this is their schedule. The Browns, the Bucs, the Pats, the Bills, and the Ravens. They look good against Kansas City. Reaction or no action for you?
I'm going to go reaction on this one. I do think they have a really good shot. You mentioned some of the teams that they're competing against. The Browns, that seems like an easy win. Then you got the Bucs. Tom Brady and the Bucs do not look like the typical Tom Brady form. The Bengals have a good offense, defense. They can beat them, can also beat the Pats. And that brings me to the Bills and the Ravens. That game against the Ravens might end up being super, super important. Josh Allen also dealing with that nagging shoulder injury. He hasn't looked as good. And then for the Ravens, we're not really sure how Lamar Jackson's going to look. We know he went down last game. Look, the Bengals, they're a legit threat, not only to the AFC, to everybody at this point. They're heating up at the right time. We talked about this on Daily Wager today. Are we taking Joe Burrow and the Bengals seriously? Absolutely. To win the AFC? Yes. And then also, potentially even Joe Burrow to win MVP. This team is clicking at the right time. They know what they're doing. This is the same game script that we saw last season when they started to turn it on. Then they were able to make it all the way to the Super Bowl. So I have high expectations for them, and I do think this is a reaction type clause.
Yeah, lockstep with you. Boo, I'm with you. Reaction, absolutely. This offense is rolling. I mean, they look great against Kansas City. And let's be honest, Kansas City, more than likely, they're going to meet up yet again this season in the postseason, and they definitely have their number. Offensively, Joe Burrow looked great, but I don't think we spent enough time talking about the Cincinnati Bengals defense and Chris Jones. 4 pressures, and they were great against the run as well. So I am with you. Reaction there for Cincinnati. All right, question number 3, and that's tonight's game, the Saints. Do they score a touchdown first? And you could get that at +122. Reaction or no action?
No action here. I can't trust Andy Dalton. Are you kidding me? Andy Dalton in prime time as well. This is going to be a sloppy game. I don't know if I see them scoring a touchdown first. On top of that, the Bucs defense isn't terrible. Okay, their offense isn't really generating a ton of points, but their defense has held opponents to 19 points per game. They're really good against the pass, and they're in the middle of the pack against the run. But let's be honest, do we expect the Saints offense to really do much in this game, to put up a ton of points? They're averaging 13 points in the month of November. Okay, they just got shut out by the San Francisco 49ers. They lost 13-0 in that game. Now, the 49ers have a much better defense, I would say, than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but the Bucs still have a top 10 defense in terms of total yards allowed per game. So no action for me on this one.
So I'm going reaction here just because Tom Brady in this Bucs offense just absolutely stinks up the joint when they go up against the Saints. So I'm just, like, is Kamara going to find the end zone? Is Olave going to find the end zone? Is Taysom Hill going to? I'd rather put money at plus 122 that one of those dudes are going to score a touchdown before Tom Brady even sniffs the red zone because of how bad they are against this Saints defense. So I'm going reaction here at plus 122. But I don't believe a lot of points are going to be scored in this game. So it's time to break it down. And how did I not even know that it's the Saints against the Bucs, considering Rachaad White is on my t-shirt today? I don't know what's going on with me. Maybe I need another cup of coffee. But this is a Tampa Bay team. They are favored by 3.5. The over-under is at 41. How are you playing it?
Well, Anita, this just feels like an under game. But since we talked about the Saints and how I don't expect them to do much in this, a little bit ago, I should say last segment, we're going to take the Saints team total and go under 19.5 points. Like I had mentioned, they're barely averaging even close to this number last month, and I don't expect Andy Dalton to do much in this game. I mean, we go back to this Bucs defense. Like I said, it's not terrible, but it's not the best, but it's going to do enough to stop the Saints and Andy Dalton under center. We talk about this Saints team really being able to press the Bucs, and yes, they have been able to do that, but they could still get this done. I'm not going to, the Bucs are going to win. I do believe the Bucs are going to win. Maybe the Saints are able to cover, but I don't see them putting up a ton of points. And again, just going back to Andy Dalton in prime time, I just don't see it happening. And if you go back to last game in that Week 2 matchup, just remember the score was 3-3 entering the fourth quarter, and then Tom Brady put up 17 points in that fourth quarter. So it's going to be a low-scoring affair, tight game.
So I'm going to play the Saints, getting the 3.5 because I like the hook. I think it's going to be close. I love the under here at 41, and also I'm going to play a two-way teaser here where I'm going to tease the Saints up to plus 9.5, and I'm going to tease the under up to 47. And that might be my favorite play in this whole thing because the Bucs, they only have 3 wins since Week 2. The under has hit in 2 of their last 9 games. On top of that, no work. Right tackle is going to be out on the offensive line for Tom Brady. What does that mean? More attack for Cam Jordan and all the defensive linemen for the Saints. And the Saints also are getting healthier. They held the 49ers to 3.3 yards per carry, 4.7 yards per play, and 13 points, which was really, really impressive. So I think Tampa Bay is going to have, and Tom Brady, I think they're going to have a real tough time scoring some points tonight. With that being said, what are we going to, with that being said, and both of us leaning on the under, what does the prop market look like for us? You go first, Erin. What prop bets are you playing tonight?
I'm looking at Tom Brady to go under 271.5 passing yards. Now, he's only hit over this mark once in the 5 games that he's played against the Saints in a Bucs uniform. In fact, he's averaging 246 passing yards in that stretch. Now, on top of that, this really comes down to the Saints defense, which is ranked 8th against the pass. They've held their last 4 opposing quarterbacks to an average of 176 passing yards. And some of those quarterbacks were really good, including Josh Allen, Derek Carr, etc. So what you want to do is kind of, isolate this and think about, or I shouldn't say, I take that back. Josh Allen was not one of them. Jimmy G, Matthew Stafford, Lamar Jackson, and Derek Carr. Those are the 4 quarterbacks they played in, and he was able to hold them to an average of 176 passing yards. But if you go back to that Week 2 matchup, which we've talked about a few times, you got Tom Brady, who put up 190 passing yards. He was still able to get the 20-10 win, so I don't see him really going or needing to go over 271.5 passing yards. The Bucs will be able to limit him through the air. Since I believe that Tom Brady might be limited, especially in terms of throwing touchdowns, I'm going to look at Ryan Suckup over 7.5 points. Now, he's tied 5th in kickers with 23 made field goals, which means he is reliable because he's made 23 of the 26 field goal attempts that he has, or field goals that he has attempted. Now, he's also hit over this mark in 5 of 11 games so far this season. Look back to that Week 2 matchup, he had 8 points. Now, the Bucs have been really struggling in terms of converting. They're actually tied 23rd in red zone touchdown percentage. So I do think that the Bucs, they're not able to convert, not able to get the touchdown. They're going to have to rely on Suckup, and he'll have over 7.5 points in this one.
I love it. To me, that's the best bet, in my opinion. in prop bets tonight. So I'm with you absolutely there. Some other Buck prop bets that I like. How about Tom Brady not to throw an interception? He only has 2 on the season. The Saints are dead last in the NFL in interception rate. Godwin over his receiving total at 70.5. He's had 10 targets, 6 of his last 9 games. The Saints not good against slot wide receivers, and even though Lattimore is back, he's more than likely going to be all over Mike Evans. And Rachaad White, the dude that's on my shirt, over receptions, over receiving yards. He is the Pollard to Leonard Fournette being the Zeke in this offense, and he's getting more playing time and absolutely being utilized in the passing game. And last but not least, Rashid Shaheed over, who's he? Your guess is as good as mine, but over 1.5 receptions. Heck yeah, he averaged 50 plus yards last week in the last 2 weeks. Big play threat. He had 5 targets the last 2 weeks, 2 for 53 against the 49ers. So you're telling me now only 1.5 receptions? Yeah, you know what? I'll play it at plus money. It is time for Paydirt Picks. This is where Erin is absolutely crushing it this season. Last week, she picked Michael Pittman to score a touchdown, and sure enough, he did. So she's sitting at 144.90. So can we just round it up, please? $145. I had Najee Harris scoring a touchdown. That hit. Freiermuth. I don't know if you were watching the game, Erin. Oh, so close. Oh, so close. He almost had a touchdown, but unfortunately, it didn't follow through for me. So I'm sitting at $48.12. I don't know. That gets me a Starbucks here in New York City, but nonetheless, you're doing such a great job winning the folks some money. Who's scoring a touchdown tonight?
Well, first off, thank you. Yet last week was an absolute gut play, and the same thing goes for this week. I'm going to go Chris Godwin. We're going to put $15 on him. We talked about this, and this is one of the narratives just around this game, is that Lattimore will be able to kind of, lock up Mike Evans, which then is going to leave Chris Godwin open. If you look at the props in general, you can see that Chris Godwin's receiving yards is actually higher than Mike Evans for this game, which is quite interesting. And look, the Bucs, they're not great in the red zone. We talked about this. Neither the Saints. This is actually a really hard game when you expect it to be a low-scoring affair to pick who's going to end up scoring a touchdown. But I do think Chris Godwin will get there. He's had a touchdown, I should say at least one touchdown in the last 2 games. So I do expect him to find the end zone tonight with Tom Brady.
I like it. I'm doing the same thing with him for $5. The Saints have allowed 11 touchdowns to opposing wide receivers this season, so I'm with you there. I'm also going to go $3 with Trotman, tight end. Johnson is going to be out. He's going to be in. Johnson, 5 touchdowns his last 6 games, so Andy Dalton does love utilizing that tight end, especially in the red zone. The Bucs have allowed 5 touchdowns to opposing tight ends this season, so that's just a dart play for $3 at plus 410. Erin, it's about that time. We say hasta la vista. Enjoy your Monday night watching the game. And hopefully, Mama could buy a new pair of shoes tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
You got it. So we say hasta la vista to Erin. We bring in Joe Fortenball from Las Vegas. Joe, how you doing? Before we start breaking down some before we start, by the way, I'm going to be out there on Friday. I'm coming out there next week, and be ready for me.
All set.
Before we start breaking down some college football, we'd love to get your plays for Monday night. What's your play? What are your prop bets? How are you diving into this bad boy tonight?
Small lean to New Orleans, but my favorite play when it comes to the side of the total is going to be under 41 total points. I don't see these offenses doing a whole lot here. They both rank in the bottom half of the NFL in terms of scoring. They both have serious issues along the offensive line. Tampa Bay's O-line was already miserable, and now Tristan Wirfs is down tonight, so Brady's going to have to get the ball out of his hands in a hurry. Neither team's had a lot of success running the ball this year. Tampa does bring a good defense to the table. You know the Saints are going to get up for this game. I see it be a lower scoring game. Now in the prop market, I'm going to make 2 wagers. Number 1, Andy Dalton to throw an interception. I really don't even think I need to explain that, but since I'm here on your TV show, I'd be happy to do so. It's Dalton. It's prime time. He always throws a pick in this spot. This year, he's played 4 games against teams that rank in the top half of the league in defense, according to Football Outsiders. Duh. If in those 4 matchups, he's averaging less than 190 passing yards per game, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Tampa's a very good defense. I see them picking him off at least once in this game. He'll panic under pressure. Number 2, Tom Brady's longest completion under 36.5 yards. I don't see him getting the deep ball going tonight. The offensive line, like I said, is banged up. He's going to be under pressure. He's going to have to get the ball out of his hands in a hurry. So if I'm going to lose this bet, it's probably going to be a catch and run situation rather than a deep bomb. Keep in mind, he's averaging just 6.5 yards per passing attempt this season. That's his lowest yards per attempt average since 2002, 20 years ago. So there aren't a whole lot of deep shots for this offense. I see him going under 36.5 for the longest reception.
Time to dive into some college football. The committee has spoken, and they have decided on the Final Four. And let's take a look. Of course, we've got Ohio State going up against Georgia. Georgia favored by 7. The over-under 61.5. TCU going against Blue, baby, Michigan. Michigan favored by 8. The over-under is at 59. Some odds to win the title. Georgia obviously favored at -135. Then Michigan, Ohio State, TCU 16-1. Now, coming in, as soon as Ohio State lost to Michigan, as you know, Joe, a ton of money went on Ohio State to win the national championship. But now, boy, do they have a rough road going up against Georgia. Let's first dive into this matchup. Again, the line, Georgia favored by 7. The over-under at 61.5. How are you playing this?
So you touched on the line movement there. Fascinating. Fascinating what's happening. It opens 7 at most shops. You get some big bets on Ohio State. It moves to 6.5 across the board. And now in the last hour, it goes back up to 7. That's a key move. 7's a very important number when it comes to football betting. So that's worth noting. It's not like the difference between going from 9 to 9.5. 6.5 to 7 is big. You could still find 6.5 out there. I was just checking. I would play Georgia 6.5. I don't like Ohio State. I loved them before the season started. I thought bringing in Jim Knowles as a defensive coordinator was going to be the move that put him over the top. It didn't. They played 2 tough games this year, 2 real games. They went to Penn State, and for the first 3 quarters, they were getting beat, and they needed to blow them out in the 4th quarter to win that game. And then they hosted Michigan, and they got their tails kicked in. I don't think the problem with Ohio State is talent. I don't think it's coaching. I think they're soft. I'm sorry, but I said it. I think they're a team you can push around. Michigan went into their house and pushed them around, and I think Georgia's going to push them around as well. So I know it says 7 up there because we use Caesar's lines. If you're going to make the play now, shop around. 6.5 is there. I got no problems laying 6.5 with the Bulldogs. I think they're going to be too physical for Ohio State in this game.
Yeah, I like Georgia. I came across an interesting stat today. Do you know Georgia has outscored their opponents 244-60 in the first half alone? Then teams come out the second half, and it's kind of like pick your poison. Whatever you want to do to the Bulldogs, they'll counter. They can beat you in the air. They can beat you on the ground. They're really physical. So I'm with you. I would lay the points with Georgia. TCU going against Michigan. Michigan favored by 8. The over-under's at 59. How are you playing this one?
So another fascinating one, right? So everywhere on the strip, except for one place, opened this around 8, 8.5, and then it gets bet up as high as 9.5. There was one shop that had it 7.5, one when everyone else was at 9. And then right before you and I start talking, here comes the TCU money. The 9s and the 9.5s are gone. It's down to 8 at most places. There's one place on the strip that's got it at 7, and that's a sharp book, and that tells you TCU at more than a touchdown might be the play here. That's what I like. I don't love this game. I really like Georgia. In this game, I find myself siding with TCU because Michigan's physical. Michigan's going to come in well coached and well prepared, and I could see that causing problems for TCU, but this is so many points. The back door's wide open. TCU has got a month to get healthy and to get ready for this game. They've got a high-powered offense. They've got a tough quarterback. They've answered the bell at every turn. You're going to put this many points out there with college kids. I'm going to look to TCU in this spot. Like I said, I don't love it as much as Georgia, but I do like TCU at more than a touchdown here.
See, I'm on the opposite side. I love Michigan here. You know, defense wins championships, Joe, and they've got one of the best defenses in college football, one of the best red zone defenses in the NFL. And you know where it really turned for me with Michigan? Because if you recall, I had Ohio State beating Michigan because I didn't think that they were going to be able to beat Ohio State without their top rusher. But McCarthy has really stepped up in 2 games. Only 1 interception, 6 touchdowns. Obviously, love or hate him, Harbaugh is one of the best coaches in college football, and they have the experience, where TCU is going to be a newbie to the top 4 games. So I'm gonna lay the points with Michigan. Before we let you go, I think everybody and their grandmother's anticipating Georgia to win this whole damn thing, and understandably so. But are you giving Ohio State any chance at all? Like, let's just say if Ohio State upsets, Georgia, do you have them winning either against TCU and Michigan?
So that's funny, because right before I came on here, Caesars sent out lines for all the possible championship matchups. Get this. If Ohio State and Michigan both win, Caesars has Ohio State as a 2.5-point favorite. 2.5-point favorite over Michigan. We saw something similar last year with Alabama and Georgia. Alabama beats Georgia in the SEC championship game, and then Georgia's the favorite for the title game. I think it was right around 3. And everyone's like, how is that possible? Alabama beat them. There's a reason. The bookmakers know what they're doing, and Georgia hammered Alabama. In this situation, I look at that and I have to respect the opinion of the bookmakers. I really do. But I just don't see it. I think the belief is that Ohio State had a bad game and that they're more than capable of bouncing back and playing well. I don't think it was a bad game. I just think they're overrated. All right, Michigan kicked them in the face and they didn't respond. Penn State had them on the ropes, and Penn State isn't that great. They do the same thing every year. They lose to the good teams and they beat the nobodies. Other than that, it's an Ohio State schedule that was padded with nothing. And now all of a sudden we think if they get past Georgia, they're also going to beat Michigan. I don't see it happening. It could, obviously. I don't see it happening. I'm not giving them much of a chance.
At the end of the day, I'm just happy. I think the committee got it right. I'm just happy that we're not talking about Alabama at the end of the day. That's what I'm happy about. Joe, always great to see you. Again, I'll be in Vegas this coming weekend. So I get a real live version of Joe Fortenball. I look forward to it.
I can't believe you're just telling me about this now. Usually you should give me a heads up on this sort of thing. What's with the sneak attack?
There's no sneak. I thought Weimer, our producer, was somebody, Eddie, somebody would tell you. Everyone's known for weeks now.
Can't trust those people.
I'll see you in Vegas soon.
You can't trust those people. I'll see you soon. Call me when you get to town.
You got it. We go from Vegas with Joe Fortenball back here to my neck of the woods, and that's New York City, and Nick Friedell is joining us to talk some NBA. Look at you with that snazzy background there at the seaport, at the financial district in New York City. Oh, Nick, I love when you're on. All right, let's dive right into it. Let's talk some NBA. We got the Bucks going up against the Magic. The Bucks are favored by 9.5. The Magic and the over/under is 225.5. It's been a tough stretch for the Magic, right? They've lost 8 straight, 5 of their last. They've lost by 10. So one would say, hey, if you're scared, say you're scared. I'm not scared laying the points with the Bucks. Are you?
Hell no, Anita. I saw the Magic the other night here in Brooklyn. They are terrible. They are so bad. And you're talking to a proud Orlando native. So it hurts me twice to have to watch what's going on right now with that team. But they're injured. They just don't look like they have any rhythm. Give me the Bucks. I think they might win by 100.
We've got the Celtics going up against the Raptors. This is interesting now because the line has switched. The Celtics were favored by 1. Now the Raptors are favored by 1. The over-under is 228. Interesting little nugget I came across while I was preparing for your segment. Both these teams are huge in the third quarter. Both teams 20-3 in the over in the third quarter of their games. With that being said, how are you playing this bad boy?
Anita, I love that you know that stat. That's why you are the best in the game at this whole deal. But as far as this game tonight goes with Boston, I would still take the Celtics. And it feels like a trap game. It feels on the second night of a back-to-back like they may not have enough juice to keep everything moving the way they've been playing. But Tatum and Jaylen Brown are awesome. That is an awesome duo. This is a team that knows how to find ways to win. And if you are in a setup where you're Joe Mazzulla and you're saying, hey, guys, we're not favored tonight. Toronto, they think Toronto's going to get us. All it takes is that little push for a team that is that good. I think they win tonight, and I think between where they are and Milwaukee is, that is the Eastern Conference Finals if everybody else stays healthy.
We've got the Sun going up against the Mavericks. The Mavericks are favored by 3. The over-under is 222. I've got a prop bet here. I mean, Luka is always huge against the Suns. 35 points on opening night. He averaged 32 points against them a night. Of course, last year in the playoff series, no love lost between him and the Suns team. That's for sure. It's always fun to watch. So my prop bet is Luka over points. But how are you playing the Suns-Mavs matchup?
Well, Anita, I would throw you some money to go in on that with you. And then I would throw some more money to take the Mavs because I think they'll find a way to win and cover here. Luka is the man. We all know how talented he is. But I think even more, Dallas has a mental advantage against Phoenix. When you no-show as badly as they did in that Game 7 a few months back, these two teams, they know each other very well. The Suns know they don't have an answer for Luka. And in this moment, I know that the rest of that Mavs team doesn't look as hot on paper. That roster is struggling to find its way at times. That guy is that great, and I think he'll find a way to carry him tonight.
Last but not least, we've got the Pacers going up against the Warriors. Warriors favored by 11. That line has jumped from 9 to 11, mind you. The over-under is at 237. That has come down. Now the Warriors, horrible team on the road, right? 2-10 on the road, but they are unbeatable at home. No wonder why this line has jumped. Warriors minus 11. What's your play here?
Anita, I would have taken it at 9.5. I'll still take it at 11. I think they roll. They love being in that environment. They know how great Steph is, and they know what kind of damage that he can do when he's in a solid streak like he's in now. I wouldn't put anything past him, especially knowing with this group that they have had struggles on the road. They do face a tough stretch coming up. They're coming east here in a week or two. This is their time to rack up wins. This is a Pacers team that has had some really good moments, but they haven't faced a team like this in this kind of environment. I think the Warriors roll.
Great stuff as always, Nick, and always great when you join us on Bet. Enjoy the games tonight.
Thanks, Anita.
You got it. As always, we like to end the show with Before I Let You Go. And if you know anything about me, you've been watching Bet for the last few weeks, I am all in on the World Cup. So what do we have on Tuesday? How am I going to play it? Well, you've got Spain going against Morocco. Spain flat out to win is minus 180. Might be a little bit too much juice for you, but hear me out. Spain, 73% of ball possession this tournament when they have been playing. They've got great chemistry. They have a better midfield. And also, I do have Morata scoring a goal tomorrow. He's been terrific. He is their leader on the field. Morocco, legit threat. This isn't going to be a walk in the park. They're fast in transition, and they have good defense, but I do have Spain winning. Switzerland going up against Portugal. That's game number 2. I've got the under there at minus 150. And if you play them both, the parlay is plus 160, and that could be an interesting play for you. Switzerland, their defense is so strong. They were great against Brazil. Granted, Brazil wasn't 100% because they had already made it out of the group stage. But this Switzerland team, they're methodical, they're organized, and again, they play such exceptional defense. Meanwhile, Portugal, some drama there with Ronaldo, upset that he was benched in the last game after Portugal made it out of the group stage, and then all the talk about his $211 million potential salary playing for Saudi Arabia. So a lot of distraction for that Portugal team. So again, Spain to win at minus 180. That's the first game. The under in Switzerland and Portugal, under 2.5 at minus 150. And I'm going to put that together in a parlay at plus 160. That's how I'm playing the World Cup tomorrow on Tuesday. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. We got you some NFL, some college football, some NBA, some World Cup. So you're ready to rock and roll tonight and into tomorrow. Have a great night, everybody.